Hello and welcome. I am Ruben Banerjee, the editor-in-chief of Outlook, and here we are again today, back with a new issue of your favorite magazine. And this is how the latest cover of Outlook looks like. And as you can see, it's a very, very topical, timely cover. Last few weeks or months, there have been a lot of things happening in and around across the country, and particularly in Delhi. And that is what there have been a lot of protests, and there have been a lot of trouble in various campuses, and particularly AMU, JNU, Jamia. And there have been lots of allegations, counter allegations, which have been flying thick and fast. But the basic moot question is, have our police been been impartial in the way they have conducted themselves? And that is what the cover is all about. Whose police is it anyway? And to discuss this cover story, I am joined by Puneet and Bhavna V. Jarora, who is our political editor. And this is how the cover looks like. Might is right.
Yeah.
And this particular phenomenon of alleged police excesses and abuses, for us is just not a Delhi phenomenon or a UP specific phenomenon. Police have been going overboard across the country.
Yeah.
And this story looks at the state of policing in other states as well, Bengal, Orissa, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, you name it, and every other province. So tell me, what is there in the story, what is the USP, Bhavna, because you also anchored this story.
Yeah. So we take a look at the police force all over the country, and whether they are acting in a non-partial manner, like you said. And we have instances and anecdotes where we have tried to show that the police is not always impartial as it should be, and they are working under political bosses. I mean, they are taking orders from their political masters. And so instead of working for the people, for maintaining law and order, so their main concern is to keep their political bosses happy.
Puneet, what's your take on the story? It's a very, very relevant, important story to tell at this point of time.
Of course, and I think this is an issue that's going to go on for a while, because these police excesses don't seem to be ending anytime soon with the anti-CAA protests and the NRC protests going on. I think, this the most obvious allegation that we always have against the police in terms of police brutality is that they're following orders, as one keeps hearing from the cops, upar se order aaya hai, and so the most obvious institution to blame is the executive or the political brass of the day. But there are also times when you have police brutality or police excesses in cases which are not politically sensitive at all. For instance, if you while I was talking to people, one thing that came out very strongly was that a rape or a crime against a minority or an SC/ST, unless of course it's highlighted by the media, in itself is not a politically sensitive case. But look at the attitude of the cops when a rape victim goes to file a complaint, or like one of the criminal psychologists I was speaking to told me that nobody can say with conviction that they have gone to a police thana, which is their first point of contact with the cops, have gone to a police thana to file some, register a complaint or an FIR, and come back with a pleasant experience. Because the overall manner in which the police treat you is as if you're basically a criminal, even if you're basically a victim.
Yeah.
So those are also other aspects which are wrong with the police and with the institution as such and their training.
I'm actually very proud of this cover because one, it was a very courageous thing to do, to stand up and stick your neck out and question the police, which is a very strong arm of the government. And two, being Outlook, we have been very, very balanced. And for us, whatever that is happening with the policing in this country is just not specific to one particular party. It's across the board.
Absolutely. Everybody, all political parties have used the police.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not a phenomenon which has been started by BJP or Congress.
Exactly.
CPI and everybody.
Exactly. And in fact, in my edit, I have written that when I was in my growing up years, when I was in college, I spent 2 hours in a Calcutta police lockup because the 3 PM local guys had falsely implicated me in a case. So And this is what exactly the state of affairs is in India now with the policing. It's the same in West Bengal. It's possibly true in Orissa, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and our reporters have gone across the country and reported from there. And everywhere you go, you find the same stories of excesses and police abuses.
Yeah.
So it's a very worrisome trend, and apart from being very, very balanced, and we have gone beyond this tutu meme, that allegations, counter allegations that goes on, we have gone above that clutter, and we have looked at the very crux of the issue, that why policing in this country is not to the level or degree that can actually give us some comfort.
Yeah.
The police, it isn't really a very pretty picture, and we also have a very strong opinion piece from the director of Common Cause, Vipul Mudgal, and they Common Cause is an NGO, and they have been working with CSDS, and they have been consistently surveying, doing some surveys on
Status of policing.
the status of policing in this country, and what the figures they have come up with are very, very alarming. 38% of police personnel in this country, they admit that they constantly face political pressures. Even attitude towards various other vulnerable communities, including Muslims and SCs and STs, it's all skewed.
Yeah.
50% of the police in this country feel that Muslims are naturally prone to criminality, and that's a very, very dangerous sign.
Yeah.
So it's time that we do take note of this, because it's you and our future is at stake, because that is, we go to police for our safety and security.
For all the citizens, that's the first phase of the
A
government.
line of defense,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's not a very pretty picture. So do look up this issue. It's something very thought-provoking, which will make you sit up and think. And this is something, as a media, I think we needed to have taken note of. And that is exactly what we have done. And I think we have done a very professional, balanced job. And as always, every issue of Outlook magazine gives you some surprises. And we have a great surprise this issue for you, and that's Wahida Rahman. Wahida Rahman, the film star of history years, like she's now in her 80s, but she has surprisingly reinvented herself as a wildlife photographer. You must have seen that story somewhere or the other. It's been reported that she has taken to wildlife photography. What you get to see in this magazine is the kind of great, stunning pictures that she has been taking. Look at this. This is a picture that she took of wild beast in Tanzania, and then this, and then this, and the cheetahs in, I think that was in again in Tanzania, and this desert picture is from Namibia. And then we have a lot of other stuff, very interesting stories, like for example from the south. We have a story on Tughlaq magazine, Cho Ramaswamy's famous Tughlaq magazine. It's celebrating its 50 years, and Cho Ramaswamy has been an icon in our journalism, in satire, and we have talked about the magazine in its 50 years. It's carrying on with the full whatever they are best known for, and this is, we have reproduced the first cover of Tughlaq, where Cho had 2 donkeys on the cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we need a bit of satire in our lives, because the kind of political divisiveness that we are in, I think we can have some fun and have some laugh, and not take us that seriously. So overall, it's a great issue. We are very proud of the fact that we could bring out this issue and take up an issue which is of so much of importance to every common Indian citizen. Do pick this up and let us know your feedback, and we'll see you again next week.